Look at what we came up with.
I'm very excited that I'm being inducted.
This is so much fun, and my kitchen is clean.
What do you think?
Yeah. Hey everyone. We are not doing a regular Genius recipe this week. We're actually going to look back at some of the coolest things that we have learned this year. All of them are Genius tricks that prove once again that sometimes the best and most memorable recipes are the ones that are pretty different from the way that we've always been taught to do things.
Okay, just for fun, we're gonna sink it.
What first drew me to this recipe was seeing in Toni's head note something about shaking the pan as being a better way to get a smoother, more luxurious sauce than stirring.
You definitely want to shake the pan over the heat as opposed to stirring it, because that aerates the butter and the wine and the lemons, the chicken broth, and it helps make the whole thing cohesive. It's just a nice way to get a really good body on the sauce.
I love this pan shaking thing, and it makes so much sense. If you were stirring, it would probably separate out the butter from the more liquidy things. By shaking, it's reintroducing all of those liquidy things and the butter so that they incorporate in a much smoother and have a more luscious, buttery mouthfeel. All right, I'm getting a little more vigorous with my pan shaking. And you can see, like, every time you shake it, it sort of like folds the butter back in. And it's definitely reducing down more. I cannot believe that only took, what, like 5-10 minutes to make overall? It's unbelievable. You cannot make this fast enough. Go make it as soon as possible. Right now, I'm telling you. You're gonna be so happy.
The baby woke up. So, this whole production is sort of off the rails. This week I have the perfect recipe for this time. It is a pizza recipe from King Arthur Flour that happens to be their recipe of the year. It's a little bit like a focaccia, so it's kind of fluffy. It's got the crispy edges of a pan pizza or like a deep dish style pizza. And it has sort of like a nice saucy, cheesy top that doesn't interfere with the fluffiness. And there are a few genius tricks that I'll tell you about to get exactly that. We are not going to be kneading. It's a no-knead dough, but it has a technique that gives a little bit more structure to the dough called folding. You do 4 of these folds 5 minutes apart, and each time you see the dough get looser and more relaxed and more hydrated and turn from this shaggy dough ball into what looks like pizza dough that you could buy at the supermarket. I just dunked my finger in some water because that's gonna help the dough not stick to my finger. And this is literally all you're doing. Gathering underneath and then pressing it into the middle, and then turning the bowl 90 degrees. So you just do that 4 times, fold your little package, and then cover it up and wait 5 minutes and do it again. I got caught. Wow, this looks really good. Look at that. Wow. So you can see all this gorgeous crumb inside, but then on this side, there's all this saucy, molten, like pizza-y stuff going on. And then, oh, here's maybe the best part, that crispy edge. It's perfect. I'm gonna try not to burn myself. Wow.
Everything is in your contract. It's a marital contract. Till death do us part.
I want to show you this week's Genius recipe, which is a totally new way to roast chicken that gives you the best of all worlds. It makes very, very tender, falling apart meat and very, very crispy skin, thanks to a very strange and surprising genius trick.
I wanted to do something that was slow roasted. But what I discovered is that when you slow roast chicken, the skin doesn't really get crispy. And in fact, you can just like pull it off like a sheet. And I decided to throw the skin back on a sheet into the oven while I picked the meat off the bones of the chicken. And they came out these like amazingly crispy little chicken skin croutons, just like almost bacony little bits of chicken skin that taste unbelievably good.
With slow roasting, everything happens more gradually, so if you go over, it's really not that big a deal. Look at that, it just all comes off super easily, and any parts that stick, just go with your paring knife and free them. And it doesn't matter if it all comes off in one piece or in lots of pieces, because you're gonna be crumbling it up in the end anyway. This crispy chicken skin is done. Look how crunchy all of that is. You hear how crunchy that is?
This week's Genius recipe is for a 2-ingredient, very quick, very delicious side dish that does not even require salt or pepper. I stumbled across this recipe for skillet scallions, and in it, she says no salt or pepper will be needed. And I really recommend that you don't just instinctively grab the salt container like you always do. Try it this way. Scallions have so much flavor all on their own. These are going in roughly a single layer. And they get covered to steam. They're gonna cook for about 3 minutes on the first side, turn over and cook for another minute or 2. And that's it. It's a very fast side and very, very, very delicious. These would be great on the side of so many things. Steak, chicken, fish. We're gonna have them with scrambled eggs for lunch because it's really fast. Okay, you can have more. She doesn't miss the salt either. Right?
Stop.
This week's Genius recipe is for the lightest and quickest muffins I think I've ever made. And it's all thanks to an ingredient that you probably have not thought to use in baking. And now this, the secret ingredient, the last one, is kombucha, which is that fermented fizzy tea drink that I had never seen in baking recipes before. I bet you haven't either. So in this case, kombucha is bringing acid to react, sweetness, flavor, and bubbles for even more leavening. And it's gonna do really cool stuff when you pour it in. This is the lightest muffin I've ever had. Kombucha really is an amazing ingredient in baking, and this recipe is the perfect place to start. Is it good? No, it's not good? It's not good. More.
Mixed messages. We'll see. We'll find out.
Oh, wait, this is genius.
Hey everyone, welcome to my home kitchen. This week's Genius recipe is a pumpkin pie, but it does away with all of the stresses that come with pumpkin pies. It has a filling that will never crack, and it has a crust that is as easy to make as cookie dough.
This particular pie is under the category, it's often called a sugar pie. I was like completely blown away because it never cracked. Never ever. No, if I left it 5 minutes too long, if I forgot about it, it would never crack because there's no eggs in it. It's thickened with flour.
I think I might have overbaked it a little bit. But, see a tiny bit of jiggle, there should be more jiggle there. But it'll be okay. Because even if you overbake it, it won't crack. See? Perfectly flat.
If you think that the method of this pie is what makes it genius, just wait till you taste it.
Mmm. Like, will you tell me if my hair falls in my face?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
What about this one? How about flyaways?
Tell me about flyaways too.
This is the star of this marinade, silken tofu, which is tofu that is much creamier than regular tofu. It's made with a much creamier kind of soy milk. It's also not pressed or drained, so it's like super luscious and creamy and blends really easily into things compared to firmer kinds of tofu. Bryant wanted this recipe to mimic the lemon pepper wings that he had seen all over the South, and those are served with ranch dressing. So the really great thing about this recipe is that you can take the marinade that's creamy and full of lemon and pepper, marinate your vegetable, and then take that same sauce and serve it as a drizzle or dipping sauce for it. Unlike when you're marinating meat and you definitely don't want to just serve marinade on the side, this is something that you can use double duty in both places. And now because I'm in my home and not serving a dinner party right now, I'm just gonna pick up one of these and eat it. The baby woke up. And she wants some. It's really, really good. I really recommend you guys try this recipe. No, it's not happening. I'm not doing this. Just go for a walk. I'll be right back. Whew.
I can't find the star.
Those were some of our favorite Genius tricks that we found this year, and you can get all 10 of the most popular Genius recipes of the year over on Food 52. And we did a deeper dive on the far and away #1 Genius recipe of the year over on our podcast, The Genius Recipe Tapes. It was King Arthur's Pizza. And both of those are going to be linked in the show notes. Be sure to also like and subscribe, and you will get all of the Genius recipes in 2021.
From the heart.
From the heart. Well, let's try. I also wanted to just take a moment to thank all of you, because this has obviously been such an incredibly tough year for all of us, and a year that we have done so many things alone. And in my case, that meant figuring out how to shoot videos with this guy and with Alik, our producer over there, and figuring out how to launch a podcast and also work on a beginner cookbook at the same time, and move cross country in the middle of all of it with our 1-year-old. So all of those were things that I was doing mostly alone, and in getting to talk to all of you in the comments and getting to talk to the geniuses behind these recipes, it all made me feel so much more connected to the world. So thank you all for that. Happy holidays. Please stay safe. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you in 2021. I'll try not to cry.
Ooh, we're keeping that in. That was good.